So, the High Priestess, she's dark, she's mysterious, she's beautiful. She is reflection as opposed to action. She represents our first sense of the mystery of life and the duality of form. All right, before we dive into the High Priestess card, I wanted to show you a couple of changes I made on this tarot map. Column 1, power confrontation, that's pretty much the same. Column 2, I changed to spirit and reflection, so that these are pretty much reflect each other as opposites in a duality. The first two columns represent action within the self, and then the middle three are transformation out in the world, and then the last two again are the self, but they're release and achievement. So and then this middle one I changed to humanity instead of wisdom. So the triad in the middle three, as you go through, always these columns are, the themes are the same as we go down for the cards in the row, but it's nature, humanity, divinity. So those are the kind of out in the world kind of cards, as opposed to the cards that deal more with the self at the beginnings and the ends. The end is the transformation of the row. So yeah, let's dive into the High Priestess. So the High Priestess, she's dark, she's mysterious, she's beautiful. She is reflection as opposed to action. She represents our first sense of the mystery of life and the duality of form. She represents wisdom as opposed to action. She represents our first sense of the unconsciousness behind this veil. The High Priestess and the Magician, taken together, form a kernel from which the rest of the journey of enlightenment will grow. They represent a yin and yang duality between action and contemplation. They really support each other, and the two of them together are almost this generator that we'll need as we move through this journey. Always action and contemplation. The High Priestess represents feminine energy, while the Magician represents masculine energy. And she represents the mental aspect of feminine energy. The veil behind her is consciousness itself, and the water behind the veil represents the unconsciousness, which we can just barely see. It's really a thing that is hidden but sensed. That's where the wisdom in this card comes from sensing what we feel in our unconscious. It symbolizes intuitive knowing that stems from a source other than the rational mind. Her dress is very watery, signifying her connection to the unconscious. And here she's shown connected to the moon, which is also known to stir the emotions. There is a passivity and a quietness around this card, and that's not a judgment or a criticism. That quietness allows wisdom and allows knowledge from behind this veil to come through. The two columns represent the gates of our own unconsciousness. They also represent duality of form and the field of opposites that seem to make up the fabric of our material world. Dualities like day and night, man, woman, action, reflection, and so on. The pillars, one black, one white, are a duality themselves. The letters B and J stand for Boaz and Jachin, the two famous pillars from the first temple in Jerusalem. Boaz, the black one, is passivity and mystery, and Jachin, the white column, is action and consciousness. The letters are reversed in a yin-yang way, indicating that there is a piece of one in the other, a subtle clue showing that duality is actually an illusion. And the two towers hint at the idea of the magician and the priestess being the quote-unquote pillars that support the Enlightenment journey, the white pillar being associated with the magician and the black pillar being associated with the High Priestess. The plants and fruits on the veil represent the fruits of knowledge, and the sphere on her crown represents a crystal ball. The cross on her robe represents the inner and outer way, the consciousness meeting the subconscious. And the scroll here that she holds in her shawl is labeled Torah, the Word of God, which at this point is hidden. It's not for us to see yet. So to put this all together, what it really means for the first 3 cards in the series, the Fool is really the energy that powers this journey, and then the Magician and the High Priestess are the engine. This idea of action and contemplation. Some of us do a lot of action but don't contemplate, and some of us do a lot of contemplation but don't really act. And when these are in balance, they really drive. Like, this is really the engine that moves us forward on this path. And then the other interesting thing is that, so the High Priestess, these 2 cards together represent a duality, and that duality of action contemplation. The duality is illustrated here with the 2 towers, and then the infinity symbol on the Magician is like how to deal with that duality, or how to deal with any duality. And I talked more about that in the previous video about the Magician. But yeah, these are really the engine that drive us forward on this path. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that and the significance of that. I thank you for joining me as always on this journey, and I wish you well on your journeys. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.